Good afternoon. My name is Carabeth Poe, and I am a sophomore McConnell Scholar. It is my pleasure to introduce this afternoon Miss Grace Olmstead. Miss Olmstead has become a McConnell Scholar's favorite. She is a writer whose work has appeared in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post. Her most recent book is Uprooted, Recovering the Legacy of Places We've Left Behind. We look forward to hearing her insight on why you should read Wendell Berry's Hannah Coulter, so please welcome me in welcoming Miss Grace Olmstead.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be back with you guys. Whenever I am talking to people about why I come out to Kentucky, I always have to tell them about the incredible conversations that I have with all of you. You are such a thoughtful and kind group of students, and truly it's been an honor to get to walk through the last, I think, 3 years with all of you and to hear your insights and your wisdom. So thank you for having me back. So we're going to talk today about Hannah Coulter and why you should read it. Hannah Coulter tells the story of a woman who is at the very beginning of her life, rejected by her stepmother and ignored by her father. She loses her first husband in World War II, becomes a single mother in the midst of that trauma, and then later marries a World War II veteran, struggling quietly with PTSD. The two of them build a life and livelihood from a small abandoned farm. Eventually, their children leave. But one of Hannah's grandsons returns in a moment of need and gives her the solace and company of kin in her last years. When I tell the story of Hannah Coulter this way, you might be surprised by how dramatic and even tragic it sounds. Wendell Berry has written this book in such a quiet way. It is easy to miss how sad her story really is. When Hannah describes her and Nathan's life, she describes it a little differently, and I want to read the way she describes it. Our story, she says, is the story of our place, how we married and came here, moved into this old house, and made it livable again while we lived in it, how we raised our children here and worked and hoped and paid the mortgage, and made a pretty good farm of a place that had been hard used and forgotten. How we continued making our life here day by day after the children were gone. How we kept this place alive and beautiful, seeing it always as a place beyond the war. How we got old and Nathan died, and I have remained on for yet a little while to see how such lives as ours and such a place may fare in bad times. I would draw your attention to Hannah's verbs in this passage. My verbs, when I told Hannah's story earlier, focused on what she had lost or what she had suffered. Her own verbs focus on what she has chosen and preserved. First, she married, remarried as a widow, to be clear. She made a home that was livable and good. She raised her children with care. She worked hard and she hoped. She continued that working hard and hoping, even in difficult times. Because of that tenacity and care, she kept her home alive and plentiful. Eventually, she got old. She lost her second husband, and yet she tells us she's remained on for a little while. The word remained is remarkable to me here. Most of us would just say, she hasn't died just yet, right? We think in the negative and the passive. Hannah here thinks in the positive and the active. She's remaining on. She's going to see how her life might fare. We often tell our own stories in the passive voice. We focus on what has happened and is happening to us, especially when those forces in our lives are negative. We lose jobs, we get divorced, we get sick, our loved ones get sick, we deal with annoying bosses or nosy coworkers, we are hurt by friends, loved ones, family, colleagues, and classmates. Life is full of the annoying the troubling, the unjust, and the stressful, not to mention the tragic. Life told in this way could be an endless litany of dark moments and painful memories. To be clear, it is important to know and recognize those moments in life when you have undergone ill treatment. It is important to be upset about those moments or conditions of wrongdoing and injustice. It is right to be angry with injustice. And in this world, there is plenty to be angry about. The problem arises when we decide to build our emotional and mental identity right there on that foundation of anger and bitterness, to dwell there, to tell ourselves that we are defined by that which we cannot control, the negative and the passive, to let that anger and pain fill our souls and selves to overflowing. When Hannah tells us that this is the story of her place, she is talking about a geographic location. It's true. But I think she's also telling us something important about a space that she and Nathan carved out for themselves, a space in which they learned how to tell their stories in the active voice. Hannah shows us that in every unfair and painful circumstance, there is an opportunity to build our identity on a better foundation. We make, we work, we hope, we persevere. As best we're able, we remain. This is why I think everyone should read Hannah Coulter. It is a book that teaches us how to live in the active voice. It is a book that teaches us the simple power of gratitude, both for ourselves and for our communities. Hannah does not always have this grace and quiet. Indeed, Hannah has had to grow into living in the active voice, in this vision of herself. Her ability to do this amid all the trials and trauma life has thrown at her hinges on a single moment, one that I want to highlight for us today. Hannah tells us in her voice on page 113, "After our children were all gone, I was mourning over them to Nathan. I said, I just wanted them to have a better chance than I had. Nathan said, don't complain about the chance you had. Sometimes you can say dreadful things without knowing it. Nathan understood this better than I did. Like several of his one-sentence conversations, this one stuck in my mind and finally changed it. The change came too late, maybe, but it turned my mind inside out like a sock. It passed through everything I know and changed it all. The chance you had is the life you've got. You can make complaints about what people, including you, make of their lives after they have got them, and about what people make of other people's lives, even about our children being gone. But you mustn't wish for another life." There are several assumptions baked into Nathan's statement here, and it's important to take them one by one. After all, if Nathan's words are going to change us the way they changed Hannah, I think we need to figure out what made them so moving to her. First, Hannah says, I just wanted them to have a better chance than I had. And then Nathan responds, don't complain about the chance you had. So what does Hannah mean by a better chance? She is probably thinking about financial well-being, considering the poverty of her childhood and the financial difficulties of her adulthood. She is probably thinking about education and the lack of formal education she herself received due to her rural upbringing and the poverty of her family growing up. In the United States, formal education and good pay often go together. For Hannah, college and the city both present her children with a better chance. But Nathan questions the adjective better in his reply. What is a better chance? How do we decide what is a good chance and what is a bad chance? Greater formal education can be and is a wonderful thing, but it's no guarantee of a happy life. Those with PhDs can still suffer and struggle. As to wealth, it makes a lot of things easier, and a lot of us wish we had it, myself included. But wealth brings its own hardships as well, and it often just makes us hungry for more wealth. Every chance brings its own challenges, and so in the end, there's not necessarily good or better or bad chances Nathan suggests to us. There is just the chance you had. Hannah calls to mind Alexis de Tocqueville, in her desire for her children to go far. In his book, Democracy in America, Tocqueville talks a lot about democratic restlessness, our desire for greater prosperity. Americans, he wrote, are always on the move. We try to guzzle up opportunity and success as quickly as we find them. If either wear out, we move on. We don't stick, we don't settle, and we are never content. We are always looking for the next big break. Pulitzer Prize-winning author Wallace Stegner once termed these Americans boomers. Not baby boomers, to be clear, just boomers. Boomers are individuals always looking for the next boom of capital, opportunity, and promise. They are the ones who then create, via their avarice, the next bust. They pillage and plunder, Stegner says, and then they move on. They do not care what they leave in their wake. Some might see both Stegner and Nathan Coulter as unfair here. After all, aren't we all out to climb corporate ladders, lean in, and seize the American dream? Aren't we all told at some point that we should do better than our parents or go farther and achieve more than our peers? We're not told what or how we might do better or achieve more, at least not all the time. But it generally has something to do with money or fame or education or all three. But when life gives us the proverbial lemons, we are generally not told to contently stay put and make lemonade. Do anything except stay put. Do anything except be content. Contentment is losing. It's giving up. It's being okay with what you have. Trade those lemons in for something better, right? Why would you ever just accept the chance you had? Perhaps Hannah and Nathan are right, and you can make something of anything if you have a heart to. But if they are right, then the instant you tell the story sour and wallow in everything that goes wrong, you are losing the battle. You cannot control where you are born, who your parents are, or what opportunities come your way. You cannot control what happens to you. All you can do is choose your response and ask for help to make sure your soul stays kind and open and joyful, even in the tough times. Then when things go wrong, you also know how to remain. You, like Hannah, know how to continue. It matters when we tell the story active. Obviously, it matters to us, but as you read Hannah Coulter, you'll find that it also matters to our places, the homes we shelter and make our own. Many of you here at the McConnell Center are going to become, and indeed already are, leaders in your communities and workplaces. You're talented, brilliant, compassionate. You have great potential to change the world. But Wendell Berry would urge you to think about world changing a little bit differently. You're going to make the biggest difference if you first choose to bless and to tend the little corner of the world in which you live. As he put it in an essay once on climate change, maybe we could give up saving the world and start to live savingly in it. The humble work of growing a garden or even a potted tomato plant, volunteering at a local soup kitchen, walking and biking when you can, and caring for your loved ones. This is what it means to live savingly. Sure, it could also mean running for public office, becoming a CEO, or building a successful startup. But any of us can live savingly. Alas, to live savingly is humble. It could easily be seen as too humble. It celebrates little, tiny changes and incremental forms of growth. It would be easy to worry that such living is not enough. Yet the minute we forsake living savingly and seek to change the world instead, we are liable to grow depressed and anxious. I am probably not the only one who has started researching world problems and has ended up paralyzed, doom scrolling on my phone, because it's too much and the problems are just too big. Perhaps saving the world can, however, begin with saving ourselves. And we save ourselves when we live actively and savingly in the place we are in. When I read Hannah Coulter now, I think a lot about the way I will tell my own story to my children and how to make sure I tell it right. Because of course I miss a lot of the places I've lived. I've given up some job or degree opportunities. I've lost loved ones. Things have been hard. Money's been tight. and I've moved back to the state of Idaho, where I was from, at a time in which it was not easy to do so. I could complain to them even now about where we are, about the smoke in the summer, or the cold in the winter, or the politics, or any number of things. We teach others how to see through our own vision of our own lives. Hannah Coulter is a book about how to see one's story and how to tell one's story. And so Hannah reminds me what I tell my kids will become what I believe about my life too. Perhaps if I can live with gratitude and with kindness, they'll find life a little brighter and more hopeful as well. It would be a good thing if we could, even in our own tiny corner of the world, help to dispel that Tocquevillian discontentment, that constant hunger for more and more and more that fills Americans with consumption and consumerism today. As Hannah puts it, most people now are looking for a better place, which means that a lot of them will end up in a worse one. I think this is what Nathan learned from his time in the army and the war. He saw a lot of places, and he came home. I think he gave up the idea that there is a better place somewhere else. There is no better place than this, not in this world. And it is by the place we've got and our love for it and our keeping of it that this world is joined to heaven. I think of Wendell Berry, another one who went to the war and came home and never willingly left again. And I quote him to myself, "Something better. Everybody's talking about something better. The important thing is to feel good and be proud of what you got. Don't matter if it ain't nothing but a log pen. The chance you had is the life you've got." That's the other lovely idea that Hannah Coulter conveys, the other remarkable thing Wendell tells us through this remarkably humane and real character. The chance you had may be past tense, but the life you've got, that's in the present tense. Hannah reminds us with those words that the chance is never over. Your life is still going. If it's going and you're remaining, you've still got a chance to make something beautiful. Never wish it away. Do not waste it on bitterness or anger over what might have been. Keep on living. Make a place alive and plentiful, and continue there lovingly for as long as you can. It's not going to solve everything to live that way, but it sure seems to be a good set of instructions. Thank you.